you don't have any plans to go outside. You want to watch something at home. You've got your packet of popcorn and you're thinking of the next big movie to watch. You have a TV, but the sound is not great. What do? You think that you need to invest in a good sound system. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Dhruv Bhutani, the editor at Android Authority, is joining me to talk about how you can spruce up your home entertainment system, possibly set up a home theater experience. Thanks, Dhruv, as always, for taking the time. Let's first talk about the strategy. I think a lot of people go out and buy not too expensive TVs and spruce up the experience with a sound system. Is that a legit strategy to follow?
I mean, it is absolutely a legit strategy to follow, Alex, but uh, I don't think a lot many people do that. Like, I don't think a lot many people realize the advantage or, how much sound contributes to the entire experience when watching TV, or your favorite movies of any streaming service. And by and large, when you're looking at a budget television or something which is, say in the 50,000, 60,000 range even, if you're going for a bigger size, you're absolutely compromising somewhere else, and that's usually the speakers. Even if you look at higher end televisions, they're all focused on the aesthetics of the TV, how thin it is, and the thinner you go, you obviously have to compromise on the speakers. So um, by and large, a TV will never give you very filling, or even fulfilling sound.
Which is why I thought today would be a great conversation, or this would be a great conversation to have today.
Mhm.
The question is, how much is it going to cost you? Because sound is something, obviously, if you are someone that enjoys good sound, you would pay a lot of money.
Right,
But we're talking about a
right.
lot of money to set up a home theater like experience.
Mhm.
And I spoke to you earlier, and you said that budgets can go between 50,000, then you can go
Mhm.
up to 50,000 to a lakh, you can go upwards of a lakh as well. So let's start at the bottom of the range, which is 50,000. What could you potentially get for something like that?
So here's the thing. Basically, anything that you get is going to be an upgrade over your TV speakers. But still, since we're looking at a budget of 50,000, I would recommend avoiding what's popularly called a home theater in a box, which is something that's very popularly available by most consumer brands. It'll be a full-fledged home theater system, 5.1 surround sound, under 30, 40, 50,000 rupees. Once again, you're getting stuck into the same caveats, which is that um, it is not realistically possible to give you fantastic sound, five speakers, a subwoofer, a whole bunch of inputs, and these days even smart connectivity. Something's got to give. So my recommendation is that you invest in a good AV receiver. You don't need to go too high end with it. Something which supports. You don't necessarily need Dolby Atmos at that price point because you don't have the speakers for it. So you could even go a generation old, get something from Marantz. 30 to 40,000 rupees is a good place to get started with. And the 30,000 budget, basically leaves you with just enough wiggle room. Maybe you might have to spend a little bit more to get a good pair of bookshelves. And that's not a home theater setup. I get it, but those two speakers alone are going to be a huge improvement over your TV's built-in audio. And the advantage of going with a setup like this is that you're not locked into any ecosystem. So you can gradually add on rear speakers, a subwoofer, depending on the AV receiver that you go for, maybe even Atmos speakers. But the sky's the limit, and it affords you the ability to mix and match and gradually expand on your setup than having to compromise initially because you wanted five speakers but not five great speakers. So that's my recommendation in the approximately 50,000 rupee price band.
From a tech perspective, another analogy to draw would be building your own desktop computer and putting the pieces together over the course of a
Yeah.
few years. You can spend more on a graphics card down the line. You do that. You can upgrade the RAM, etc. Right? But let's talk about the next range, which is the 50,000 to 1 lakh. We're moving up in life. We want to have that real theater experience. What can you get?
So when you move up to the 50,000 to, well, closer to 1 lakh is when you can feasibly build out a decent enough 5.1 setup. Now, there are a few brands like Taga, which have the Harmony series of speakers. They're not, the epitome of audiophile grade music. They're not, but they're still very good, and they definitely cut above those home theater in a box systems. And a set of those speakers is going to cost you around, say, 40 to 50,000 rupees, which leaves you anywhere from 30,000 to 50,000 to invest in an AV receiver. Once again, that AV receiver is going to be the bulk of your cost again, since it is essentially the brains of your home theater system. But if you splurge a little bit more on that right now, that means that that receiver is not going to get antiquated anytime soon, and you can mix and match all of these components. Again, coming back to the desktop PC argument. But something from Targa, you could possibly even look at a few entry-level Wafdale speakers, especially the Diamond series. So you might not get full tar speakers. If you go for the Targa speakers, they have full height tar speakers available at that price range. With Wafdales, you might have to compromise with bookshelves. But again, all in all, a huge upgrade over your TV's built-in speakers. Another option that you could possibly look for is, and that's something that I've personally done for one of my bedrooms, is to invest in a combination surround sound home theater system. So I've got a clipped soundbar coupled with a subwoofer and wireless rear speakers. And that setup again comes to about 1 lakh rupees. And it's got discrete channels for center, left, and right in a more convenient form factor. So that's again something that you can possibly look at.
What about people who want to break the bank? They want to go whole hog and
Mm-hmm.
they want to set something up that will last for quite a while, because you would be putting
Right.
serious money down. Obviously, sky is the limit, but within reason, upwards of a lakh, what would you get?
So I'm personally partial to the Dali Oberon series. The sound profile is something that really, you know, hits the notes for me. But again, this is something very subjective. Sound is very subjective, and my advice for anybody investing over a lakh rupees in speakers, be it stereo speakers or a home theater system, would be number one: go and audition it. What sounds great in reviews might not be what you're looking for at all. Some people prefer bass, some people don't prefer bass. Um, and that goes across the sound spectrum. uh, but within reason, safe bets, the Dali Oberon series is fantastic. ELAC is another brand that I can generally recommend as a safe bet to most users, most buyers for that matter. And there's a bit of a dark horse in here where I understand not everybody is willing to put up, a full-fledged system with a lot of wiring running across the room. The Sonos ecosystem is something that could be something that might be useful for a few people because it's completely wireless. So you could take a Sonos Arc, which costs about a lakh rupees, couple that with Sonos One speakers for rears, and get the Sonos Sub, which is again another 90,000 rupees. So this is a very expensive setup going in just for the convenience factor. But I understand that some people value that. So, that is something again that you can possibly look at.
This conversation has already been useful, because I'm sure a lot of people are hearing brands that they don't hear every day. So thank you so much for taking the time. Dhruv, always a pleasure speaking with you, and look forward to our next chat.